I'm Vicki Cobb, the master chef of kids' hands-on science, because I'm always cooking up new activities for kids to play science and STEM. My new book is actually the third book in a series called STEM Play, illustrated by John Kurtz. It's called Why Do I Dry Off? STEM Kids Discover the Secret of Evaporation. This book is a little different from most picture books in that it is meant to be interrupted when you read it to a small child. Let me show you how. Wiping dry. Wash your hands, use a paper towel. Do you dry off? Where does the water go? Go for a swim or take a bath. Wrap yourself in a towel. Do you dry off? Where does the water go? I don't answer that question because I want them to think about it. Not wiping dry. Dip your finger in a glass of water to wet it, then hold it in the air. Let it stay wet. Don't wipe it on anything. Don't touch anything. Hold your hand still. Wait. Do you dry off? Where does the water go? Where could it go? Well, before you think about where the water could go, let's think about what water is like. When are you wet? You are wet when water is a liquid and it sticks to you. Look at the water in a glass. You are looking at liquid water. What shape is liquid water? Pour it into a bowl. Now what shape is it? So a liquid you can see and you can change its shape. So it's different from what happens when it disappears. And I have to establish a model for it, so I do that. And I'll spend some time introducing the idea of molecules as tiny, tiny balls that can't be seen, but can only be imagined. Why do you dry off? Wet your pointer finger again. Hold it in the air. How does it feel? Cool? That's because the water molecules are using heat energy from your finger to escape into the air. That's what drying is. The liquid water is now a gas called water vapor. You can no longer see it. But when you think about it, when you do this activity and you hold your wet finger in the air, you notice it feels cool. Why does it feel cool? It uses the heat energy in your finger to become a gas, to change from a liquid to a gas. And this cooling effect is what allows us to have air conditioners and refrigerators. So my books have an arc to them. I introduce a concept, an idea, make them think about it in a different way, then give them an activity to explore the concepts, and then give them a new idea they are now ready to understand. I hope you'll try my STEM play books with your favorite kid.
Hi, my name is Roxy Munro, and I write and illustrate children's nonfiction books, concept books, books about STEM, that's science, technology, engineering, and math. I used to do books more on architecture, cities, exploration, aviation, but lately I've kind of morphed into doing books about nature and science. That would be books about birds, bugs, snakes, rodents, fish, even dinosaurs, and I'm working on a new book coming out in 2021 on the rainforest. But today I thought I would talk to you about Dive In, a book that just came out in April. So in this book, among many other cool things, we have some big, huge spreads that you see the creature's life size. And this is Dive In. And I thought I would really quickly show you a lively little trailer I did on this book. So I hope you enjoyed that. I wanted to say also that I have a website, www.roxymonroe.com, and on that site I have a dedicated web page for this book, and it has coloring pages you can print out, activities, it has videos on how the book was researched and how the drawings were made. I also have online programs and virtual school visit programs I do. So thanks very much. I'll give you a quick view of my studio. I'm in my studio right now. This is where I do all the work. And I hope to see you soon.
Hello, my name is Amy Nathan, co-author with Sharon Langley of a new picture book, A Ride to Remember. Here I am with Sharon Langley at the Carousel on the National Mall in Washington, D.C., the carousel whose civil rights story is told in this book. Sharon is a teacher and a writer who's based in California. We both grew up in Baltimore, but didn't connect until 12 years ago when I first found out about the special carousel ride that Sharon took as a very little girl, and so began the process of joining with Sharon to create first a YA book on Baltimore civil rights history, Round and Round Together, and now this new picture book. Here we are with the picture book's other creator, illustrator Floyd Cooper. The three of us working together to create this book parallels the book's story of a whole community coming together to right a terrible wrong and set the stage for Sharon's ride becoming a powerful civil rights symbol. Sharon was the first African-American child to go on a ride at a Baltimore amusement park on its first day without segregation. It desegregated thanks to peaceful protests that brought hundreds of people to that park, Black, white, young, and old, calling for the park to be open to all. Sharon's ride with her father by her side took place on August 28, 1963, the same day as Dr. King's March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom, which prompted reporters to feature photos of her ride the next day because her ride, sitting side by side with white youngsters, was seen as a symbol of the harmony Dr. King spoke about in his I Have a Dream speech. That carousel is now in Washington, D.C., not far from where Dr. King stood to deliver that speech. Today, as our book says, big kids, little kids, young kids, old kids, no matter the color of their skin, can ride on any carousel, going round and round on horses painted all the colors of the rainbow. Nobody first and nobody last. Everyone equal, having fun together. At the end of the book, there's a photo of Sharon at the carousel in 2014 with the horse she rode as a child, and with a personal comment from Sharon on the book's message. She says that everyone, including children, can play a part in creating a world where all are welcome and treated fairly. If I could change the world, here's what I'd change is one of several projects suggested in an activity and discussion guide, which can be found on the books page on my website. This project encourages youngsters to decorate a carousel horse and write on its saddle a change they'd like to see if they could change the world, or they could make a mini poster with that same wish. Now, here's a comment board of such wishes created at the Reginald F. Lewis Museum in Baltimore on Martin Luther King Jr. Day this year. Now, teachers could do something similar in a classroom, whether it's a real classroom or a virtual one, posting everyone's hopes for a world where all are welcome. Well, we hope you and your students enjoy A Ride to Remember and trying out that If I Could Change the World project.
Hi, I'm Carole Boston Weatherford, and I'm excited to share with you my new book, RESPECT, Aretha Franklin, the Queen of Soul, illustrated by Frank Morrison in what is our third collaboration. This book took me back to when my dad used to play Aretha Franklin albums. These are all from his vinyl collection. Respect is a biographical tribute that riffs on Aretha Franklin's hit song, RESPECT. The text is composed of triplets, all ending in the same rhyme. Each stanza begins with a spelled out and hyphenated word that evokes one of Aretha's gifts, personality traits, or something about her background or values. What's fun about that is that even kids who don't know how to read yet can get in on the act by spelling out those words. So in that sense, the biography is interactive. I'm going to share with you an excerpt from RESPECT. GIFTED, young, gifted, black, Aretha hears a melody. Then she plays the tune by ear, plinking perfectly. GROOVE, Aretha finds her groove when she's rocking R&B. No woman of her time has more chart toppers than she. GREAT, Aretha's crowned as Queen of Soul, our own royalty. Let me take you inside my process of writing RESPECT. For the stages of my creative process, I am using some of Aretha's song titles to correspond with the different steps of my creative process. Think, daydreaming. That is when I came up with the concept of hyphenated spellings, when I created a word bank of terms that I thought evoked her values, her background, her gifts, and when I decided that the text would be a rhyming poem. Jump to it. That's when I did my research and drafting. The research, of course, was expedited by the fact that I was already familiar with some of Aretha's background and with her music. I drafted the poem and decided that each stanza would start out with one of these hyphenated spellings and then would also have two lines, a couplet, all ending in the long E sound. Rock steady, that's the revision phase. That's the most challenging and rewarding part of my writing process. And for RESPECT, I paid particular attention to the rhythm and the rhyme during my revision process. And the final phase, get it right, has to do with proofreading, which sometimes I'm not so good at, and more revising. I did revise this manuscript almost right up to press time. I invite you and your students to take a ride with Aretha. Use RESPECT as a mentor text and have students write their own poems using their character traits and hyphenated spellings and coming up with rhyming couplets to elaborate. I think they'll have a lot of fun, even the most reluctant writers. Please follow me on social media and visit my website, cbweatherford.com, for more teacher resources, lesson ideas, and of course, news about my books. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dorothy Hinshaw Patent, and I'm delighted to let you know that my new book, Pika Country, Climate Change at the Top of the World, has come out. Dan Hartman, the photographer, has been a fan of pikas for years, and he proposed the topic to me after our other book, When the Wolves Returned, Restoring Nature's Balance in Yellowstone, was published. Dan pointed out to me that the pika, this appealing animal that works so hard to survive in a challenging environment, provides a perfect opportunity to help young people understand what's at stake as our planet continues to heat up. We hope that if they can care about the pika and its struggle for survival, we can care about nature as a whole. I imagine most of you have never visited the rugged and gorgeous Beartooth Mountains just outside Yellowstone National Park. So I thought you'd enjoy a brief glimpse of a place where these animals make their home. These mountains are high, rugged, and wild, perfect pika country. We visited in mid-July, a prime time for many wildflowers like these forget-me-nots. The mountains are home to many animals like these mountain goats crossing the road. The tall poles help snowplow drivers find the pavement during the winter. You can see how high that snow can get. Those goats are now grazing here across the highway with the boulders that provide habitat for the pikas in the foreground. You can also see the snow is melting this warm day, not a good sign for the pikas. We can hope this young pika can have a healthy future, but a lot depends on us. Many steps take place in creating the book. Here's Dan in the mountains with his camera. After visiting the pikas in their home, I returned to my study and my handy Mac to write. My editor and publisher, Madeline, made this sketch to show how she wanted to visualize the pika's vanishing habitat. Marlo used the drawing as an inspiration to produce this illustration. I was invited to watch Philip, the designer, and Madeline work together on the final details for the book. And when the book was finally available, Marlo created this poster and this lovely trailer. Enjoy.
Hi, I'm Kerrihollan to tell you about my new book, Ghosts Unveiled. It's in a series for readers like you that's called Creepy and True. Now, I've written about mummies. They are creepy and true. Plus, I'm working on a project about bones, and that would be victims of mayhem and murder, both creepy and true. But when Abrams Books for Young Readers asked me to write a book about ghosts, I had to think about it. I asked myself, ghosts are creepy, but are ghosts true? I started reading ghost stories, lots of ghost tales. But then I realized that these were stories, not real accounts of people's ghostly experiences. So I began to ask around, and what I discovered is pretty darn cool. Many folks have had encounters with ghosts. I spoke with people from Australia, Korea, and Canada. I read reports, lots of them, from Mexico, Ethiopia, Japan, China, India, Scotland, and Sweden. And what I learned has filled this book. There are ghosts on trains and ghosts on planes, plus ghosts on pirate ships, as well as ghosts in the United States Capitol and ghosts in the Kremlin in Russia. Ghosts of Abraham Lincoln, a ghost of Anne Boleyn, a ghost of Captain Kidd, and 2 more creepy English rulers who each lost his head. Our 4-footed friends, like dogs and cats, pay us ghostly visits too. But the best part was interviewing my family. We have a ghost story that took place in my room when I was a very little girl. Then there's my nephew's encounter with the ghost of a small boy. And much more recently, a sighting right in my neighborhood in Blue Ash, Ohio. You might not think ghosts are true, but when you lay eyes on Ghosts Unveiled, you might have second thoughts.